The 27th of April 2025 is a day Liverpool fans will never forget. Yet another bald genius won the league, only this time, this one was different. Arne Slot. Against the odds, against the problems he immediately recognised as soon as he arrived at Liverpool, against a situation that should have ended his tenure as manager only after just half a season, and in the process becoming a one of one. So how did Arne Slot make history with Liverpool? The biggest change has to be winning. It's not just winning the league, it's how this Liverpool team under Arne Slot won it. They've won the league title with 4 games left to play. And in truth, it could have been much earlier. They've scored the most goals in the league and conceded the second least as of recording this. They've been flying, and much of this is down to Arne Slot because he came in with a plan.
Because of that, because you have a new manager coming into Liverpool, I think everybody expected that it was going to take some time for him to figure out the players he has, bring in some players that move things around.
This was the expectation when he first arrived. New manager, replacing a guy who had been at the club for 9 years. Many expected Liverpool to dip, at best compete for the top 4, but Slot's won the league with 4 games left. How then?
I think consistency you get by 2 things. You get by work rate and you get it by team performance.
Consistency. That's the key word. That's how you win a league. By winning again and again and again. They started the season with 3 wins out of 3, then a defeat to Nottingham Forest 1-0 at Anfield, and after that went on a 24-game unbeaten run that meant Liverpool didn't lose a game in almost 4 months of football. For context, they'd taken 17 wins out of 19 Premier League games by the time the defending champions Manchester City came to Anfield. Of the 34 games they played as of recording this, they've lost just twice all season, meaning in the remaining 32 matches, they've either won or at the very least taken a point. Honestly, this is incredible. But the more you dive into it, the more you realise it was bound to happen. See, to be consistent means repeating the same results or the same tricks that bring success over and over again. Or, in Arne Slot's case, the same team.
I see the advantages of playing mostly with the same team because they get used to each other, so that helps. But I also am aware of the fact that you cannot play a season with 11 players, so that's why you saw sometimes players rotating.
Rotation, or the minimal use of it. Virgil van Dijk, Ryan Gravenberch and Mohamed Salah have played every league game for Liverpool this season. And these aren't just squad members. These 3 have been very important parts of Liverpool's successes this season. When he's made his substitutions though, they've been decisive throughout the season. Diogo Jota coming off the bench to score the winner against Everton, Darwin Núñez off the bench with 2 big goals against Brentford, or going as far back as the start of the season, taking out Jarell Quansah at halftime and replacing him with Ibrahim Konate because Quansah failed to win any of his duels. He's found a system that works, and he's made the most of it by keeping the same team or the same principles throughout the season, and it's got results too. Speaking of results, Futbol Historia is trying to bring you the best quality content on YouTube with no BS. And all you've got to do is hit that subscribe button to the channel. It's that simple. But the plan goes beyond just being consistent, because right from the off, Arne Slot noticed something he had to change, but also knew if he went about it the wrong way, it could cost him his job early on. It's crazy to think about how he's won the league now, despite battling being the second pick for the Liverpool job in the summer.
If you're talking about who should come in, I think it should be Xabi Alonso, a former teammate of mine. He's very inexperienced in management. I think he's only managed, I think it's about 60, 70 games. But what you would have straight away is the club on side, not just because he's an ex-Liverpool player, because of the respect he had as a player.
Ruben Amorim and the rumors that he is close to possibly signing as Liverpool's new manager, but you have some intel for us, is that correct?
Yes, Ruben Amorim has not agreed anything with Liverpool. This is the kind of story that eventually may be true.
Xabi Alonso was the top pick, but after ruling himself out of the Liverpool job, it came down to a decision between Ruben Amorim and Arne Slot, and in the end, Liverpool chose Slot. Because, as the man notes himself,
in general, I think what Jurgen's teams liked to do and what my team liked to do as well is press really high, Sometimes maybe a bit different information, but the idea is the same.
The differences between himself and the former manager Jurgen Klopp are small. This, in itself, was genius. Liverpool didn't need to rebuild. They already had a team that had shown they could compete for trophies, particularly in the league. Yes, Man City had won 4 in a row before Slot arrived, but the last team to win other than Man City was Liverpool back in 2020. They pushed City to the league title and lost out by just a point in the 2018-19 and the 2021-22 seasons. They were just 7 wins away from winning it last season before slipping up and finishing 3rd. The point is, the owners knew this Liverpool team could still compete. It just needed a few changes, and that's what Arne Slot has done. How though? The formation. Under Jurgen Klopp, it was a 4-3-3 with one central theme.
That's why I said, okay, no playmaker in the world can be as good as a good counter-pressing situation. So yeah, that's only to show the players a little bit why it's so important.
The Gen press. As soon as the team lost the ball, it was all systems go. The front 3 immediately charged high up to win the ball, as did the midfield 3. A hard-working system that had its results and trophies. Lots of them. But in the years leading up to Klopp's departure, it had a lot of flaws. Liverpool looked easy to play over. Arne Slot came in and tweaked the system. The same ideas of winning the ball back, but this time, the team sets up in a 4-2-3-1 system. The key difference now is what they do when they've won the ball.
First of all, I think it's impressive how Arne Slot has changed the team a little bit and put some extra more calmness when they're in possession, especially when they win the ball. Yes, they can go quicker forward when they have chance, but they can also control the ball and have more possession. So that's the big difference, and how quickly they managed to turn the players and change around was it's really impressive.
Simply put, Liverpool don't rush it anymore. They don't force the issue. It's simple changes, but very effective. Under Jurgen Klopp, it was no secret just how much Liverpool liked to attack using the wing-backs. Or in this case, the defence became the creative force to attack, fully using Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson's passing abilities. With Arne Slot, he still uses defence to start the attack. It's just built differently now.
I was impressed by his how he is in ball possession. So that was from the first session I did. I was, wow, this is someone, he can delay his choice, he can wait for the last moment to play a ball through the lines. So yeah.
Virgil van Dijk. Slot speaks about Van Dijk's passing abilities there, and he means it. In particular, it's Van Dijk's passes to another member of the Liverpool team that's been a key factor in winning the league. The Van Dijk to Ryan Gravenberch connection. 147 times this season in the league. That's the most of any centre-back to midfielder combination in the Premier League this campaign. So why is this important then?
One of the few holding midfielders, pivots, the way you want to call it in this country, that can create an overload by a dribble. Mostly it's these players.
A big part of Ryan Gravenberch's game this season has been his ability to receive the ball on the half-turn, beat the opposition with a touch, and from that point on, Liverpool have multiple options to play to in attack. But even this is just one of the tactical tweaks under Slot that has won Liverpool the league. Another one is how he revolutionised a very important part of Liverpool's system, crossing, such a big part of the setup under Jurgen Klopp, and it still is with Arne Slot. But just like the Van Dijk instance, this has changed too. This season under Arne Slot, at a figure of 12.5 per game, it's the lowest amount of crosses from both fullbacks per 90 since the 2018-19 season, when Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson became that crossing duo. So what's the difference then? And does Arne Slot abandon crosses into the box as a system in his setup? No, it's still a very important part of Liverpool's game. It's just done differently now, and with different personnel. This goal sums it up. Back post crosses, in-swingers, aided by different movements from the fullbacks, the midfielders, and even the centre forward. It's a scenario Liverpool has repeated under Slot. When the wide players cut in, it's to find either the far post or a teammate in space. This doesn't mean the fullbacks don't put crosses into the box anymore. They still do. Heck, Trent is still quality. But getting the ball into the box from various outlets and using movements from the midfield and forward line has evolved the crossing abilities of the team. And then the attack. Due to how much he talked about Liverpool keeping the ball more, knowing how to attack and when to attack was important. Salah is the league's leading goalscorer with 28 this season. And while the end of the season form from the rest might have trailed off, other members of the team have stepped up as well. Luis Diaz has 12 league goals this season, his best return in a Liverpool shirt since signing in 2022. Cody Gakpo has 9, Diogo Jota has 6, Darwin Núñez has 5, as do Alexis McAllister and Dominic Szoboszlai. From midfield, throw assists into the mix, and Liverpool has 4 players in double-digit numbers for goal contributions in the league this season. All as of recording this, they've been very lethal. And in this regard, Arne Slot has been flexible. 2-1 versus Chelsea, 2-0 versus Man City, 2-0 versus Man City again, 3-0 versus Man United, and 1-0 versus Everton. That's just 5 wins in the list of 25 as of recording this for Liverpool. But these aren't just random results. Each one tells a different story and shows just how flexible Arne Slot is.
How difficult Chelsea made for us. So in my opinion, if I would be sitting as a Chelsea manager.
Against Chelsea, he was quick to admit that it was the one game where the opposition dominated his team and deserved to win. But in the end, the work rate and quality of the team in the final third got the job done. Against Man United, it was controlled football from start to finish.
Last season they were man marking on the midfield and they had a press with the 7-9-11, so with the striker and one of the wingers jumped with him. This season they are more with a 9 and 10 press, so they're more in a 4-4-2. So that's different, of course. I see them, in my opinion, working harder if the ball is being played through them.
It was like watching a surgeon perform open heart surgery on a team. He openly discussed United's tactics to show he was clever enough to understand not just what, but who he was coming up against and the ways he could easily beat that team. But perhaps the biggest indicators in these 5 wins were the 2 against Man City.
It was playing against Real Madrid, playing against Man City, teams that have been and are so good.
Beating them in December was more than just a statement performance. It was a masterpiece. City may have kept the ball more, but everything going forward was all about Liverpool. It took Man City 39 minutes to have an attempt, a shot, the longest time they've had to wait that long to get something at goal since 2010. Just for added measure, these were the defending champions, the team that had just done 4 in a row, and that 2-0 scoreline could have been more if Slot's Liverpool team had been even more clinical. Then you factor in that this was off the back of beating Real Madrid 2-0 in the Champions League, and in the space of 5 days, Slot's Liverpool team had beaten the 2 teams that cost them Champions League and Premier League trophies in recent years. Then the 2-0 win at the Etihad.
Yeah, if you play away at the Etihad, if you win there, it's always a big win, no matter what the league table looks like. Because if you play away from home against the Pep team, it's almost impossible to have more ball possession than his team has.
As he said, he already knew City was going to have the ball. But this result just proved how much of a genius Arne Slot is. He went to the Etihad and played without a recognised striker, yet Liverpool was still effective. Another 2-0 win, home and away against City. They won without conceding a goal. The team against Everton showed another side of Slot's Liverpool team.
To have that is one thing, to create a chance is a second thing. So that's why we had to be there so many times. And you're hoping that one time then can be enough. And it was with Diogo's goal.
They can dig in deep to get results. Despite Everton being very solid defensively, they were able to find a way. However, it's how Arne Slot has gotten the best out of certain players in the team this season that has played a big part in Liverpool winning the league. The most obvious difference has to be Ryan Gravenberch, a player on the fringes with Liverpool last season. There was even talk of him getting sold after just a season. Playing in that number 8 role, he failed to make a lasting impact, but with the new tweak in the number 6 role, or double pivot position, he's been a revelation.
I think coming from the Netherlands, we all know how good he is with the ball. So he can be a really important player for our build-up game. But what impressed me most when I started working with him, how much he can run and then how good he is when he arrives in the duel.
It's built the perfect system for him. Gravenberch's ability with the ball and ability to beat a player with just a touch, combined with how much he can run and the right players around him, it works.
Un poco más cerrado, a veces, no siempre, pero yo siempre dando largura. Pero ya cuando la pelota pasa a Mo o a Arnold, que está del otro lado, tengo siempre que cerrar y llegar como atacante.
Or Luis Diaz. He talks about how Arne Slot wants him better positioned to get on the end of chances, and it's reflected in the goals he's scored in big games in the league. I could go on and on with the improvements. Ibrahim Konate had a shaky ending to his 2023-24 campaign, and now he looks solid alongside Virgil van Dijk under Slot. Alexis McAllister has always been a talented player, but now he controls midfield and gets his fair share of goal contributions too. Same with Cody Gakpo, playing down the left primarily now. Gakpo looks like the player Liverpool bought from PSV back in 2023. But if there is one player that has to be looked at in a bit of detail under Slot, it's Liverpool's Egyptian king. Mohamed Salah, as of recording this, 28 goals and 18 assists in the league, 46 goal contributions, in pole position to win the 4th Premier League Golden Boot of his career, and I should add that he's a right winger, by the way. It's ridiculous. But how is Salah different under Slot?
As you said, it's quite different than before. Now we want to control the ball all the time. I'm not saying before was not, but before wasn't really number one thing.
Well, it goes beyond this.
But I told him, look, as long as you rest me defensively, I will provide offensively. So try to rest me as much as I could, then I will show you the numbers. So I'm glad that I did.
Whose idea was that, Mo? Was that the manager or was that you?
No, manager idea, because he's the manager, but...
Nah, this is huge. At this moment, Salah explains his role under Arne Slot. First off, he's stationed a bit narrower, but as you can see here, he's not expected to do as much defensively as the rest of the team. And the reason for this is that once a turnover is achieved and the ball does get to him, he's more often than not very effective. This tactical switch of allowing Salah more space and less defensive work makes him the team's most dangerous outlet, and with the goals and assists he's got, it's equal reward too. You also listen to Salah speak and he talks about how open-minded Slot is. It's the simple changes, from stuff like allowing players to sleep at their houses for home games rather than the team hotel, to having more meetings before games. The contract situation with Salah, Van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold, how he never gave too much away, how he chose to always focus on the football side of the trio rather than discuss contract talks. Add all of this up, and it's the minor changes that have made Slot's team Premier League champions for the 2nd time in 5 years. He'll know it's harder to do it again than it is the first time, but you wouldn't put it past him now. It's safe to say he's silenced his critics, just like the new man in Barcelona has with his winning team.
I'm happy. I think we made a really good match. Performance was good.
Hansi Flick, with each passing game, makes that Barcelona team look stronger. You want to find out how? Well, click the next video to see how Hansi Flick is making his mark at Barcelona.